Well, hello, everyone. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here tonight. It is a Monday night, and I hope you're ready to receive some great information. My name's Yvette Uloa, and it is a pleasure and an honor to share this information with all of you. For some of you, you already know me. For some of you, you have never met me. And the topic that we are going to talk to you about today is really amazing. It is a topic on understanding women. Understanding women. And women, we are amazing human beings. And we're also complicated human beings. And so I'm very excited to share this topic with you today. And if I can have my husband just show me one quick thing. Sweetheart, could you show me how I can have the PowerPoint and the chat and see the video at the same time? And
Cool.
helping each other out while we do this is huge. So
okay,
is
so you
it?
want to do this?
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
perfect.
So you
Thank
gotta
you
go
so
here.
much. We're trying something three-dimensional today, which is a PowerPoint,
And you want to be able to see it?
Facebook Live, if I can, yes. Perfect. And I'm recording? Yes.
Yes. Wherever we see that. Did you
Victory.
push it?
Yeah, I did push it.
Okay.
Push it. Good.
Let me just make sure, because
Dun, 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 dun.
okay, yep, you're good.
We apologize for the little prepping. We are trying a new technology. Zoom just released a special Facebook invitation where you can do 3 things at once. So it's our first time. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So today's topic is understanding women. And this is both for men and women. It is about how to honor each other in a way that we are able to release any tension and be able to build each other up, women to men, you know, a grandmother to a grandchild, a mother to a son. There's so much conflict that happens because relationships, you know, there's collision, there's conflict. And so we're going to share something with you guys that absolutely changed our life a few years ago. And we've made it a commitment to be able to share with the world. And I'll tell you guys a little story. So the topic name is producing results and solving problems versus completing, connecting, and relativity. 2 completely different aspects of a woman's well-being. And it's basically about how to be more effective, understood, and valued by connecting with how a woman is listening, processing what she's hearing, and also what motivates her. So my name's Yvette Uloa, and it's a joy to be your hostess today. Prior to finding Alison Armstrong, my marriage was in a very challenging place. We had built an amazing empire. We had a great business together. We grew as individuals. We grew as a business, but somehow our marriage didn't catch up. So we found ourselves in a new place, great place financially. And there was so much tension in our marriage that both of us just didn't know what to do. We loved each other, but we didn't understand why we weren't getting along. And so we were actually in a really tough place where we were considering a separation after 16 years of marriage because we didn't know what else to do. We had done everything we thought. And so there was a lot of tension in our day-to-day experience. And I went to a retreat in Hawaii. And I was at a retreat, and my girlfriend said to me, she goes, listen, because I was sharing some of the conflict that we were experiencing. And she said, you go home tonight and you buy this book, Queen's Code, and you read it tonight, and you still have time to save your marriage. And this girlfriend doesn't really talk to me like that. So she kind of shocked me and said, okay, I'm open. She said, had I had that book, I would not be finalizing my divorce and having lost half my wealth, which I'm finalizing next month. She was going through a terrible, very tough transition. And she just really helped me listen with her story. So I bought the book that night. I started implementing the things in the book. And, you know, I've done every self-help book in relationships. I would always go, anytime I got into a fight or had a problem with a boyfriend, I would go to bookstores and find this information. Nothing like this book where it was just an action, a consequence, an action, a result, a word, you get this, a word, you get that. This action gets you this. This action gets you that. And it was that simple. So that wasn't like reconditioning or changing. And so all of a sudden, Dave started to notice that I was shifting. And then he started to notice that the tension was dropping. And all of a sudden, we started having great conversations again. All of a sudden, I started understanding that he was at a new stage in his life and he needed support from me to show up in a different way than had been the last 10 years. And so he started asking me, what are you doing? Something's different. And I said, I'm reading this book, The Queen's Code. He goes, give it to me. We have this thing of we're not going to change without the other person. So I gave him this book and our whole life ahead changed. We started going to her seminars. Alison Armstrong is the author. We started just changing the way we spoke to each other, the way we honored each other. And our whole life, we released the tension, we dropped the conflict, and we were able to magnetize each other in a way that now people think that we are newlyweds. We were coming through immigration after coming back out of the country, and then the guy goes, stop it, you newlyweds. We said, well, we've been married 18 years. And he goes, not true. No way. You don't look old enough, number one. But number two, you're too happy. And we said, well, we have a secret. And so we're sharing that secret with you guys because what we decided to do is we decided to certify with her. It's the last year of her life that she's certifying people to teach her work. And then we partnered up with Dream Trips where we're going to be doing retreats, warrior retreats, marriage retreats, relationship mastery, how to do business with business partners of the opposite sex. And so everything changed because of this one book. And so what we're teaching is a series of 8 topics taught by me and then 8 topics taught by Dave. We have a Facebook group that you can plug in. Everything is completely free. And what is really cool about this is that it's helping us as we do our graduate work with Allison, because we have to teach, we have certain requirements, we have a lot of research we have to do. It's a very, very difficult 1-year program that we signed up for, and we get to share it with you. And so you're getting $1 million information. Someday this is going to be costing a lot of money. You get to participate with us and get this information for free, and it's a gift to you guys, and also you are a gift to us. So thank you for listening. And basically what you will get out of this workshop, you will get out, number one, you'll be more effective, meaning that you will get what you need from women in a way that is empowering to you and the woman. If you're a woman, you'll empower yourself, whether you're dealing with women and men. And men, you'll learn to deal with women in a much different way. Number 2, be more understood. So if you communicate with the woman in a way that is in sync with her, then you'll be able to understand her better. And if you're understood, your needs will be met. You also learn how to be more valued. So women value the people that make us feel safe. And women also value the people that they perceive as supporting them or empowering me. So I'm going to hang out with the girlfriends and the gentleman that supports me and empowers me. People that don't make me feel good, I'm going to push away. So this is a way to sync that as well. Also, women value the people that make us feel wanted, valued, and appreciated, liked, accepted, and approved of, and also respected, which is exactly this topic. And the ways that you will do that is, number 1, by connecting and getting in sync with all women in your life. Also, learning how the woman listens when they're in different modes, and that's very important. And then also how she processes the information and what motivates her. So I'm going to talk about something really powerful, and there's 2 aspects of every human being. Every human being is wired with both of these forms, okay? Number 1 is we call the human animal part of us. That's our instinct. That's our survival. You know, if we feel a threat, we react, right? There is a great part of human animal. Unfortunately, a lot of times also that reaction creates chaos. So sometimes when we come from human animal, we have fear, we experience scarcity, we experience competition that's not healthy. There's healthy competition, there's unhealthy competition. The other aspect is human spirit. And human spirit is where we use choice to say something, to do something. And basically that choice enhances our life. So when you are in human spirit, things are effortless, there's creativity, there's happiness, there's partnership. So many times we come from our instincts, and that is what creates tension in a relationship. And when there's tension, you want to release it. A lot of times you release it by smacking the other person or doing things that lessen the other person's ability to produce results. And then the other person starts resenting you, and then little by little, the relationship fades away. And so we're going to teach you how most of the time, there is a good time for human animal. That's when you're protecting yourself, when you're in a danger, right? But most of the time, we want to come from human spirit, where that is choice. Sometimes we bite our lips because we want to say something that's going to hurt somebody, but we'd rather not say it because it's going to hurt somebody. So coming from human spirit, Dave and I always celebrate. Anytime we have a victory of the human spirit, we're like, yes, we did it. And so really, really wonderful to do that. And by the way, we will have questions at the end. So write down your questions because we'll help you, answer those. So we're going to talk about hunting versus gathering. And think about this as two operating modes, okay? One could be like a Macintosh, one could be like a Microsoft, okay? So there's two different operating modes. They're not one right, one wrong. They're both great. We're gonna teach you how to maximize things in each operating mode. So powerful. When I learned this, it was a huge aha moment that nobody's doing something to hurt the other person. We are just wired differently. And so I'm going to share with you guys some really cool stuff from a book I read. Men have 10 to 30 times more testosterone than women do. 10 to 30 more times. A baby is born pickled in that amount of testosterone since birth. So can you imagine? They have an unbelievable ability to focus and to go for it, and they can go. And so many times as women, we try to go at the same pace and we don't take care of ourselves, and we end up with adrenal fatigue, we end up with, heart stroke, different things, because we don't have the same level of testosterone. So what I'm going to teach you is going to help you maximize your potential as a human being when you're in either mode, which the two modes, we're going to basically call it like a modern day hunter and a modern day gatherer, okay? And they're both operating systems. As well, I wanted to share the statistic. Did you know that women's communication center is 3 times larger than that of men's? Yes, ladies, we have a much bigger need to communicate because our communication center is 3 times larger. There is a purpose for everything that's happening in our brains and how we're wired. Did you also know that our worry center, the area, the amygdala, the little organ that pushes the brakes if there's danger or that helps us, be careful, did you know that's also almost 3 times as big in a woman than it is in a man? So can you imagine, gentlemen, sometimes we get accused of, you worry so much. Well, my prefrontal cortex is 3 times larger than yours. We have 3 times bigger span. And so creating safety for a woman is a huge thing, because if a woman feels safe, her worries will go down and you will be able to get the queen out of her rather than a cave woman. Does that make sense? So if I'm making sense, if you guys can go ahead and just type in, yes, I'm making sense, or put a little happy face, anything you can. So to just let me know that I am making sense. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Silvana. Thank you so much. KG and Kim Valone. Thank you, Doug. Wonderful. So I am going to go back to my PowerPoint. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Nadine. Okay, perfect. Mr. Dave Uloa, how do I get back on my PowerPoint? Slide. Okay, will you teach me how to get back to my PowerPoint? Thank you. This is so much fun. I apologize for this little thing. Okay, thank you. Slide. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Yes, thank you. Perfect. So we are going to talk a little bit about the two gathering modes. And they are not right, not wrong. So just think as you listen to this, what mode you find yourself in. Okay, the very first mode is hunting mode. Hunting mode is when a woman is committed to producing a result. Also, men can be in hunting mode. Okay, so if you're committed to a result, a destination, an intention, a value, or a feeling, you're in hunting mode. A clue that a woman is in hunting mode, she's walking fast, she's direct, her head is down, she's looking at the computer, she may look impatient, she's speaking to the point, she has facts, I think, and she just talks in terms of I think, not really attached to her feelings. Okay, so that's a clue that a woman is in hunting mode. And gathering mode is a little bit different. Okay, gathering mode is the opposite of hunting mode. And gathering means you're open to options. It means you're open to alternatives. It means you're open to possibilities. And by the way, it's harder for women to be focused on one thing at a time because men have 10 to 30 more times testosterone than we do. So many times our natural state is gathering mode. However, with the workforce and moms going to work and being single moms, we have adapted extremely well to where a lot of women are naturally in hunting mode. So just think yourself, what times do you find yourself in hunting mode? What times do you find yourself in gathering mode? And the clues that a woman is in gathering mode, she's moving slower. She doesn't have a time constraint. She's relaxed, not rushed. She looks up from what she's doing. She's patient. She likes to talk. She likes to share details. She will ask about you. And she'll speak in terms of, I feel. She's very connected to her feelings, as opposed to somebody in hunting mode that's very connected to her thoughts and statistics and facts. Okay, so we have found that most men are in hunting mode completely most of their lives up to age 50. After that, the testosterone naturally starts to drop, and then they have the ability to switch back and forth between hunting and gathering more often. You will see this in men over 50 in their communication style. They like to tell stories, share their wisdom. They enjoy great conversations. Women, on the other hand, they operate in both gathering and hunting mode at different times. Many times we switch back and forth between modes, multiple times in one day, sometimes multiple times in 1 hour, confusing the heck out of the men in our life. And even the women, sometimes we're like hunting, and we're like, relax and gather, and then we go hunting, then hunting. And so just think about how this can affect your kids, your family, your work, when somebody's in hunting mode and somebody's in gathering mode, and the different things that can happen. And if you guys listen to the webinars 1 and 2 that we posted on the Facebook group, they're going to give you more enlightenment as to how we are wired differently, how it all plays out. And each webinar is individual, so you don't need one to get to the other, but listen to them. Yes, we are recording everything, so thank you very much for that question. Absolutely. So think about this. You might find yourself in hunting mode, or you might find yourself mostly in gathering mode, or like most of us, switch back and forth between the two. And wherever you're at, this information I have to share with you will make a big difference. So let's talk about hunting mode. Okay, so women switch into hunting mode the moment they commit themselves to a specific result, intention, destination, goal, or accomplishment. Okay, and so in hunting mode, we have two motivations. Number 1, to produce results, and number 2, to solve problems. And so you see, like when men are in hunting mode, it's like they don't even hear you. Women have an amazing ability to reduce distractions, reduce noise so that we can focus as well. Not the same level as men because they have something called single focus, single track vision. We have something called diffuse awareness, which means we can see everything around us, and men don't see that because they're not wired like that. So you'll start understanding, like, why doesn't he see the sock that's on the way that's yelling at me? Well, men don't see that. They just see where they're going. And so there are ways that you can create partnership so that it doesn't bother you and it releases conflict. Okay? So the first motivation in hunting mode, that is producing results. Everything when a woman is in hunting mode is about a result or an outcome. The path is clear and she just needs to get it done. So when she's in a conversation, when you're in a conversation with a woman that's hunting and also with a man that's hunting, it's the same thing. What they're listening for. She's listening for what's relevant. How is this related to the result? How is this going to affect what we need to get done? What's the point? Is this my problem? Does this need to get solved? And then she will bring people back to the topic if they get off track. Okay, I'll give you a little example. In my research, when I interviewed a real estate executive in her 30s, she said, I'm looking for efficiency. Does this really fit in with what I'm doing, what the situation that's at hand? If it's linear and it makes sense, I'm listening. If it's off the path, I am not listening. So potential conflicts with producing results. Accusations, off-putting, being masculine, she will be branded, well, you're too masculine, where you are bitch, well, you're too impatient, you're intolerant, you know, and sometimes people will take it personal or feel disempowered. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of objectification. Sorry, I can't pronounce that word. And sometimes she will seem manipulative or just, you know, she's just trying to get hers. Well, that's a woman in hunting mode. So this whole process of being able to have compassion towards the women and men in our life and understand why they're behaving a certain way. Okay? So the second motivation in hunting mode is solving problems. And solving problems is a way of producing a result. Okay, so the woman will problem solve to get to the result. Now, here's the differences between men and women. This is amazing. Men are wired to be fixers. They love to fix. Gentlemen, if you're on the call, just raise your hand or say yes if you like to fix problems. They are wired to, thank you, Doug. So as you raise your hand, just, you know, let me know if you love fixing problems. So they look at a problem as an opportunity to serve, as an opportunity to help somebody. Women, they don't look at problem. They look at a problem. Their relationship to a problem is that it should not be. That should not be here. So it should be, you know what? This is an issue that needs to get resolved. So we have a different relationship to problems than men do. And so, you know, the great thing about women when they're in hunting mode, and this is fascinating, is that they have an unbelievable capacity to be open to options, alternatives, and possibilities as they're focused on the problem. Usually men, it's just like solve the problem, solve the problem, solve the problem because of their one-track system vision. Women are like, okay, focus on the problem and what other options and alternatives. So we have that amazing ability. Now that could also become a problem because sometimes we may get stuck in trying to get too many options. And in my research, you know, I want to show you guys the amount of possibilities that can exist while solving a problem. And when I interviewed an entrepreneur in her 30s, she said to me, it depends on how big the problem is. Sometimes there are 2 possibilities, other times there are 50 different ways. And then it is a merger of being committed to solving problems and how we go about it and being open to options, alternatives, and possibilities. So when we are committed to solving the problems, we will often ask others for ideas and want to collaborate. So that's what's different between a man and a woman. Many times the man just goes and resolves the problem. When the woman is solving the problem, she likes to ask. And again, there's always exceptions to every rule, but on average, she likes to be open to perspective. Okay, so when a woman listens, what she's looking for in this case scenario of solving problems is she's looking for options, alternatives, and something that's going to help the solution. She will even bring people back to solve the problem if they get off track. So now some of the potential conflicts. Sometimes we tend to try to solve problems that are not ours. We kind of invite ourselves to help somebody solve their problems, and they don't want that. And I'll give you an example. A life coach in her 40s, actually a life coach in his 40s, he shared with me in his research that one time his mother was trying to solve a problem of his that he didn't ask her to solve, and this created a lot of frustration between them. So basically she was trying to help him get back with his girlfriend, and she was like, oh, she's amazing and you need to go talk to her, you need to do it. And he was like, who asked you for feedback and advice? And so sometimes we tend to try to solve other people's problems, and we cause frustration along the way. So ladies, it would be a victory of the human spirit to only solve when asked for help. You know, now my big thing with Dave is like, baby, do you need some help solving that? Or may I help you with some options and ideas? And sometimes he's like, yes, I need that. And other times he's like, no. And I just have to, it's a victory of the human spirit to not get involved unless he's requesting my help. So pausing is a great victory of the human spirit. Okay, so I'll give you a personal example. We were solving a problem at work. And after we had decided how we were going to proceed that night, more ideas were coming my way. And I kept on throwing additional, oh, what if we did this? And what if we did that? That drove my husband crazy. And he was so frustrated saying, we've already decided we were doing this. And I'm like, well, I had this great idea. So sometimes we irritate people if we keep on throwing ideas after they have decided on a solution. So if that's making sense to you, would you just raise your hand, or on Facebook, just put a little happy smile, because it's very, very powerful when you understand. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Doug, Silvana, Monique, Carol. Thank you so much, because we can really, really be challenging if a woman is trying to produce the results and then there's another woman throwing options and alternatives. It's like, oh, there's a clash. And so thank you, Nadine. So being aware is really, really powerful. And there's a point where we may have an impatience for options and possibilities. So we have to decide, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to think of options. And then at the end of 2 hours, I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to allow myself to make a mistake if I fail, and make it okay. Give yourself a little compassion. But sometimes we can get stuck for days trying to solve a problem because of this amazing ability that we have called diffuse awareness, which means to pour out, where all this information is coming from everywhere, and we can drive ourselves and our partners crazy with the diffuse awareness. Wonderful. So now we'll go to the next slide. And this is how to be more effective, understood, and valued when a woman is in hunting mode and she's producing results or solving problems. So number one, recognize what mode she's in. Dave's so funny. He said, can we have 2 hats around the house? And when you're in hunting mode, wear the red hat, which means don't interrupt. And then when you're in gathering mode and you're ready to play, put a blue one so I know that we can have fun. And so figure out a way to, share with the people around you, hey, baby, I'm in hunting mode right now. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Figure out a way to communicate this, because an interruption to somebody that's hunting can take them out of the game. That's why a lot of times when we interrupt a hunter, boom, they bark at us and their human animal comes out. It's like, rah! Because we completely interrupted their flow. And they say sometimes it can take somebody up to 20 minutes to recover from an interruption. It's like, where was I? What was I doing? Okay, back to track. Now we have distractions. We have all these things happening. And so very, very powerful to notice what mode the person is in to avoid hurt or disrespect. Also, not to make them wrong. Don't take it personally. They're trying to produce a result. Okay, wait for a pause. Wait till they're ready to talk. If you have something you need to say, write yourself a note. But the worst thing you can do is interrupt somebody in hunting mode. Also, another thing you can do is you can ask the person, I am so sorry to interrupt. I can see you're very focused. I need to talk to you about this, and it's going to take 5 minutes. When would be a great time? My best question that saved my life in the last 2 years, because my husband is in hunting mode, I would say 90% of his life, so focused. Baby, when do you have 5 minutes that we can chat? And I'll tell you, because before I would just come with my issue and interrupt the heck out of the poor guy. And he was living a life interrupted. And that's why there was so much drama and tension, because I have very strong personality. So I was constantly interrupting ideas, interrupting, just like the poor guy's like, can I get my work done? And so we learned. And also when I'm in hunting mode, now he knows to wait or pause so that he doesn't interrupt me. Also, another thing you can ask is, can I help you with anything? What would that look like? Or how can I support you? Or I know this may not be relevant right now, but I need to give you a 1-minute backstory to ask you for something that relates to your result. So figure out a way to speak to somebody in hunting mode. And sometimes you may have a boss that keeps on bringing alternatives and possibilities when you're already committed to your result. That can also create a conflict. And so giving the boss maybe the time, okay, we have 5 minutes before we get to commit to producing a result. What is there anything else you need to share with me that's important before I get to action? And so being able to understand the relationship between hunters and gatherers, modern day, is huge and can absolutely change your life. I'll give you guys a personal example. Sometimes an important thought of something we need for our business comes to my mind. And my husband's in hunting mode. And I'm like, oh, this is so important. This would probably really help him. So what I do now, I'll write a little note. I say, baby, when you have a chance, please remember that this email needs to be sent and this call needs to happen. I love you. And I'll leave it there. And I can't even tell you how much stress that has taken off our backs, because I'll leave that there. When Dave pauses after he's done with his 30-minute call or whatever it was, he looks and he's like, oh yeah, okay, I have a break. I can do it. And then he loves the little system because now things are not falling to the cracks. I'm happy. He's happy. If I'm in hunting mode, he will also slip me a little note, and that doesn't take me away from my hunt. And so it's a beautiful way to create partnership. So is this information making sense? I know I'm going fast and there's a lot, and this will be recorded, so you will all get a copy. So just give me a little hand, or a little happy face, or a Honolulu on Facebook. Just let me know you are getting the information. Thank you, Nadine, Michael, Monique. Thank you, Kim, Deborah. Thank you, guys. Yes, Nadine, it does take she says it takes some control of our own ego just to pause. It really, really does. And that is a victory of the human spirit. So thank you guys so much. Now we are going to shift to gathering mode. And gathering mode is a state of being open to options. So when you are open to options, you are more relaxed, like we talked about. You are open, you're more communicative, and both men and women experience this. Remember this. So when you're in gathering mode, the motivations are connecting, completing, and relativity. So remember, in hunting mode, you're all about the results and problem solving. When you're in gathering mode, it's about connecting, it's about completing, and about relating to the world. And we talked about how safety is such an important factor for women. And I'm going to show you how to create safety with all the women in your life. So when you're connecting, when your motivation is connecting and you're in gathering mode, it's all about your safety and your survival. So if you guys listened to the webinar number 1, it was entirely about how to make a woman feel safe in hunting mode versus in gathering mode. In gathering mode, for me, I feel safe when Dave sends me a text, if he's on the road and he tells me, good night, baby, I love you. I feel safe. When I'm in hunting mode and I'm doing a webinar, Dave coming in at the end and going, God, I have so much respect for you. That was wonderful what you did today and your contribution to people. I feel respected and I feel safe in gathering, in hunting mode. So think about, listen to that previous webinar and think about, how do you feel safe as a woman, and share this with the people in your life. It could be your mother, your children, your husband, and have them give that to you, because as they give that safety to you, you will step into your queendom. You'll be a queen versus a cave woman. Nobody wants to see the dragon come out. The dragon comes out when we are so overwhelmed from so much stuff coming our way, and we hit massive overwhelm. And so we hit a point of no return. And has anybody ever experienced somebody like that? And so we don't want to get the dragon out. The dragon is like beyond the cave woman. If you've been there, say, I have been there, or raise your hand. But it is really, really all about our safety and our survival. And that goes down to the cavemen and the cave woman days, where a tribe was all about our safety. So all the women stayed together, and they went to the river and they got the water. And then they remembered every detail about coming back, where the berries were, where the nuts were, how to, avoid, any danger. And we came back and we told every single woman in the tribe how to be safe. And we all did that with safety, while the men were originally the ones that just went hunting. And that's why they have that ability to focus, because they couldn't get distracted by the little rabbit that passed by, or by the pretty rainbow, right? And so it comes back from that. So safety is very fundamental for us women. And if we get kicked out of the tribe, or we are alone, it could be doom for a gatherer. So subconsciously, when women are in gathering mode, we are driven to connect. And, many of us have businesses. We're in the direct sales, or you have a business. Look at what women in your group have this need to connect. It is a need for them. And look at what women are looking to hunt a result. And sometimes they'll switch back and forth. And so being able to give them a little bit of connection is very important, because if they don't feel safe, they're not going to produce results. It's so powerful. So being, on the same wavelength, same team, we got each other's backs. And basically, when a woman is listening to conversation, when she's in gathering mode, this is what she's looking for. Points of connection, me too moments. How can I connect? How does this relate to me? How are we similar? Oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, oh my God, me too. So when we're in gathering mode, it's all about the me too moments. And are we friends? What else do we have in common? It's about relating to the other person. And women need different levels of connection for different things in their life. Here's our 2 examples of my research. I interviewed a travel entrepreneur in his 40s, and he mentioned, my mother, she needs to connect 1,000%. Not sure if it's before a specific result, but she needs to connect before any result in her life happens. So in this situation, she just really needs connection all the time. And then I also researched a woman in her 50s who's an entrepreneur. And she said, with everything, I prefer to connect at the beginning. I'm not one to jump right in. I like to see how the other person feels, hear them out. So I like around 30 to 40% connection at the beginning. Some of the women that I interviewed, they're like, I can't waste time. I gotta go. Are you having a problem with the volume? Can you guys hear me okay? If we can, just go ahead if you can hear me okay. So Zoom, some people said volume. Okay, perfect. So some of the women I interviewed, they said, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Some of the women I interviewed said, I only need 5% connection because I don't have much time. So I got to get right to the point. So as a woman or a man, and you're interacting with people, business partners, friends, people you're interviewing, people you're trying to sell something to, you have to have an unbelievable sense of rapport to see how much connection, especially women. Men can go right into hunting a result, but women need a certain percentage of connection. It might be 0% if they're massive hunters, but most women on average need 5 to maybe 100% connection. So very, very, very important to be able to provide this for the women in your life. Okay? So another thing is women have certain needs because all the different information that's coming our way, thousands of things are coming. We need to somehow let it all out. And that's another course that, we should recommend our men kind of hold our basket for us while we tell them everything that happened in our day. But gentlemen, I have great news for you. There are things you can ask women in your life or women to other women to help them release all the overwhelm that came in through their day from all the things that we saw, experienced, felt. And when you help a woman and you support her in releasing, and we call this emptying our basket, it is so cool to come up with a favorite question for that certain woman. So some women love the question, what did you do today? And some women hate that question, what did you do today? So it's useful to find out what is your question that will allow you to be connected rapidly. I asked a few women what was their favorite question. And when I interviewed a business owner in her 50s, she said to me that her favorite question to be asked by her husband when she comes home is, did something interesting happen today? Because if not, she would have to remember all the negative things about her day, and she didn't want to go there. So gentlemen, as the wife comes home, maybe she's been in hunting mode, maybe a great question is like, what was amazing about your day? Or what was fun today? Or what, and men love to see our passions, So one of my personal questions, I hate the question, what did you do? Because then I feel like I need to report. I did this and this and this and this. But I love it when Dave goes, what was amazing about your day? And so I smile and I go, oh, you know what? I saw this little boy and he was feeding a dog, or whatever it was that made me chuckle or made me happy. And so I share that. And so he helps me release that overwhelm that needs to come out. And listen, gentlemen, if I can give you one word of advice, when we give this information to you, we don't want to get fixed. We just want you to hold the basket and listen to us. We just want to be connected to you. And so Dave at the end goes, is there anything you need me to do with this information, baby? And I'm like, no, thank you, honey. And I feel so much better. And so this is so powerful. You're able to apply these little things we're going to teach you. Release tension, until one day you'll see the tension has just gone away. That's because we're instinctively wired differently. So potential conflicts with connecting. A woman who's motivated to connect may be viewed as irritating or annoying because they're talking about things that are not relevant to the result. So sometimes people get frustrated with women that are motivated to connect. And then the woman will get hurt. And not connecting could cause a woman to think that you're mad at her. So sometimes we have to remember this. There are women that need a lot of connection. And you may say, hey, I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a couple minutes. Could you share with me how was your day? Or how was the last month? So figure out a way to give connection to the women that need it. And then women that love to connect, cut your connection down a little bit to the women that are hunting so that you can support them as well so that we don't frustrate and overwhelm each other. And this works just the same with men and women. So I'll give you another example. I researched a young lady in her 30s who works in the property management industry, and she was sharing with me the following. I get very impatient when my manager goes on and on and on with her teaching or talking about old stuff prior to resolving a problem. She complicates everything because she loves to hear herself speak. I even stop listening at some point. I like to get to the point. So some additional conflicts is, if you ask a woman, how are you? It might cause her to feel like she needs to address everything of how she's at. So a better question to ask is there anything you want me to know about you? Or is there any update you want me to know about you? So that opens up for a shorter answer that is more relevant. And that way it satisfies the connection, but it also doesn't take you out of your game and your focus if you are in hunting mode. Another motivation of the instinct when we're in gathering mode is completing. My goodness, I had no idea what was happening in my life until I read it. I studied this chapter and I interviewed people because a woman because of our diffuse awareness and because so many things are happening and multifaceted, we're seeing multiple plates spinning at once, we need completion. We need completion and we need to clear our space. And what this looks like is both with doing and in communication. We need to sometimes clear our physical space before we can do something because sometimes it annoys us. And, I interviewed so many women, and women are compelled to clear their physical space in order to have the mental space to focus. So sometimes you may need to wash the dishes before you cook again. And it seems crazy. It's like, what? But if we don't clear that, then this thing is bothering us, and we can't perform because we're focused on this thing that keeps on spinning on the side. And so I researched a woman in her 40s who works as an escrow officer, and she said, yes, every morning I wake up, I run around the house, make sure everything's organized, make the bed, the sink is clean, pick up the wee-wee pads, feed all the animals, and then I can start my day and focus on work. Something is all the way done, a task is complete, an objective is complete, like cleaning up the dining room, whatever your definition is, but the purpose of this is we need completion. And it looks different to every woman. So there is no piece hanging out to snag your mind, your diffuse awareness, your scan vision, so that you have a sense of peace and relaxation that came from completing. So it is completion in the sense of those kinds of threads or snags that if you walk out of the room without doing it, it will just gnaw at you. Okay, so you feel the need to be complete in order to relax. The other way we clear our space is we need to clear our mental space. So this comes in the form of communication. And often when we are in gathering mode, it comes down to an interaction that we want to complete from the past. So ladies, have you ever sat down with a girlfriend and go, so what happened since the last time we saw each other? That is such a common statement amongst women. And if you have experienced that, will you raise your hand or put a little happy face on Facebook so that I know that you are relating? Well, I take a little cup of tea. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Martha. So clearing our mental space, it's almost as if we can't go on to the next topic. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Nadine, Barbara, KG. Thank you, guys. And so that need for completion is there when we are in gathering mode. Remember this. So sometimes a woman will interrupt a conversation or start a conversation in order to tie up something from the past. Or before you go on, I need to complete something. So what happened over there? So we need to get an update, or else we will feel incomplete and be distracted by that. We need closure. I didn't realize how much I need closure, but Dave gave me a great example. We were dealing with business conflict and some negativity, and Dave said, oh, I got an email from this person and I want to share it with you. I want to get your perspective. And then he goes, but let's go to dinner first. And I was like, and he goes, no, babe, let's go to dinner. There's a great place here I want to check out. And I could not go to dinner. I was like, can you just read the email? So I said, babe, I'm sorry. Here, I need to speak what I need. And, Allison really teaches women to speak what you need and ask for what you need to set up the men in your life to succeed. They don't guess. They don't have that ability to guess and take ideas like we do. And so I said, listen, I will not be able to relax until you tell me what that email said. So he read the email to me. We created a beautiful answer, positive. And then I was like, okay, we can go to dinner. So I needed that completion. And so that motivation is so powerful. And so gentlemen and women, when a woman's in gathering mode and she needs completion, you can shorten it, but there's definitely room for her to be able to receive that. It's very, very important. And also when a woman is completing, or she has that motivation to complete, when she's listening to get caught up. She's listening for an update or a conversation that's going to give closure to the missing episode. And, especially in a child's life, my mentor was sharing that she has a boy and he's a teenager and then he went to college, and trying to get things out of boys, I guess, is really difficult at that age. And so she was sharing, trying to get the episode that I missed, that, when he was in college for that first year. It was like, oh, it's like you missed your favorite episode, and she couldn't get him to share much. So, but that is basically what it feels like. You missed an episode of your favorite TV show. And so being able to communicate that you need a little bit, at least, give me just a one paragraph of what you experienced so that I can have completion. And some of the potential conflicts with completing, a woman that's trying to complete could look like she's wasting time, or that she's taking you off topic, or talking about something that's not related. Or a woman who's trying to complete may get cut off or feeling frustrated because she can't be fully understood. And so also it can cause others to be frustrated by completing a task that seems like it's not relevant. Like my friend shared with me, she said, Yvette, before I cook dinner, I have to do the dishes. I have to, or else I can't cook because my mental space is not clear. And so her husband sometimes comes home and he's hungry and dinner's not ready. He's like, what are you doing the dishes? We're making dinner here. She's like, I have to have completion. And so those are some of the conflicts that can arise between hunters and gatherers. And, sometimes the frustration between two people, one's trying to move forward with the result and the other one's trying to complete, that can create a lot of chaos. So just being aware of when you're trying to complete and when others are trying to get a result done around you, and being able to crunch the time frames and come from human spirit. So how to be more effective, understood, and valued when a woman is in gathering mode. Number one, recognize her mode and get in sync so that you can avoid the hurt and disrespect. Have compassion. The number one rule is no criticizing. When you criticize a woman, she shuts down. Women need compliments like we need food. Compliments are so good for our soul, and they make us do more of what you want us to do. So criticism, no. Compliments, yes. And there are ways you can give feedback to a woman that's in an empowering way. And also women, no criticism to gentlemen. It crushes their ability to produce results. They will stop producing results for you. And you've got to get the Queen's Code to be able to understand that part. I'm going to give you guys Allison's website if you want to buy the book, because she self-publishes. And so having that compassion. Also, you can be more effective by giving her updates if you have completed something. That way she knows the missing gap. Or maybe say, okay, everybody has 1 minute to share. And then you time it so that everybody can tell you, so everybody has completion. Also sharing your favorite questions that you want to be asked when you come home, or ask your favorite questions of other women in your life. And also, if you have if you're in gathering mode and you're with a hunter, you say, what result do you need to produce in order to have the space to connect? So again, we got to speak each other's language and understand where we are at. Sometimes I go, babe, I really need completion before I move to the next. So can you just tell me quick, 30 seconds? Or sometimes, one time we were in Austin, Texas, and we were at the Whole Foods and we were going to do a blog. And we had just been to this unbelievable Whole Foods, and I wanted to empty my basket because all this information was coming my way. And so Dave, we sit down, we have our teas, and he starts working on the blog. And I go, baby, stop. Before you start on the blog, can we have 1 minute connection? I just want to share like what I experienced, what I saw. He was like, okay, baby. And so he held the basket out for me. And he was like, tell me all about what you saw at Whole Foods. And that 1 minute connecting, then boom, I was able to produce results, get the best blog out, and I was in hunter mode, but I needed that 1 minute connection. And had I not gotten that, I may have sabotaged our entire lunch. Does that make sense? Thank you, guys. And also being able to honor each other and saying, I only have 5 minutes before I have to get back to work, but I want to connect with you for a moment. Or I have a deadline and I see you need to catch up. Can I give you the 2 minute version before we start? Or would you rather hear the story in more detail after we finish? Or can you give me the 2 minute version of your vacation? So being able to work with our timelines is so, so powerful. And then finally, relativity. So relativity is an additional aspect of how a woman listens and processes information. So the relativity is basically what does this have to do with me? So in hunting mode, it's never about you. It's always about the result, the goal. But in gathering mode, it's about how am I connecting? How am I safe? How am I feeling like I am part of the tribe? And so remember, if you're a leader, there's many people that have big teams on this call. Women, there's a lot of women that need that connection or that relativity, and you need to give that to them. It could be a small time frame, but you need to give that to them. And there are women that are hunters that don't want anything to do with connection. So you need to be able to read. One of the things that Allison shared with us when she does workshops, and she says, mix and mingle, 6:30, 7 o'clock start. That way the people that need to connect, they come in at 6:30 and they have all the time to connect. And then 7 o'clock, all the people that want to generate the results, it starts at 7:01. And so that way you're able to meet both needs. And so with relativity, when a woman is in gathering mode, everything she hears, she's processing through, how is this relevant to me? And that's because we talked about that our worry center is 3 times larger than that of a man's. And so we're constantly wanting to feel connected so that we feel safe. And so it's so funny because, one time, this happens a lot when hunters are telling stories. And, Dave was in hunting mode and he was telling this amazing story about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and how he was going up and they were suffering and a couple of them got really sick and the helicopter, they couldn't call it in and they barely saved one man's life and all this information. And I'm listening for the part, when is he going to thank me? When is he going to talk about me? Like when I was so worried and I was worried sick and I couldn't sleep. Like, is he going to talk about me? And it wasn't out of my ego because I wanted recognition, but when women are in gathering mode, we need to relate. And so it's funny because the story was not about me, but I needed to be heard. I needed to hear my name. And so at the end, I was like, oh, yeah, and me and the girls, we had a Facebook group and we were all so worried, sick because we couldn't hear from it. So it's funny, I had to tell my story about how I felt safe. And I created my own little tribe with the women that were wives to all the men that were climbing Kilimanjaro. And it wasn't that I was trying to get attention, but it was just my need for relativity. So when women are in this area of gathering mode, they need to relate because this is all driven by survival. So remember, hunting mode is about the results. Gathering mode is about relating and about feeling safe and connected. Okay, so the most common questions that women listen from are, what does this have to do with me? How is this relevant? How will this affect my future? I interviewed a good friend of mine. She lives in France, and she said she heard so much stuff on the news, and she was listening for okay, how is this relevant to my family? How is this relevant to the safety of my family? And based on those news, she made a decision to move out of the country and take her kids to a place where she felt that she would be safer. And they found a job and everything. So a lot of women that are in gathering mode, they're listening and they're looking to relate from each other. And so very, very powerful to use your human spirit and avoid human animal and reacting in these common situations where you're going to encounter women in gathering mode as well as women in hunting mode. And so how to be more effective with this work. Basically, when you're talking to a woman in gathering mode, it helps to give her a little bit of connection time. If you're working with a woman that's in hunting mode, make your connection time very short and make it all about producing the result. You can say something like this to a gatherer: before I start, do you want me to tell you what this has to do with you, or can I tell you the whole thing? Because sometimes they're listening, is this going to affect me? What's going to happen with me? And they start worrying, right? And so being able to collapse that so that she feels safe. You can also say something like, the truth is, this doesn't really have anything to do with you, but I have to tell somebody. I just want to share this with you. That way she will relax and she will hear the story and she won't be scared that some news are coming her way. And so empowering women, this was topic 3. And this is all about empowering women to be the best human beings that they can be, including yourself if you are a woman on the call. And remember, you don't need the other person to know this, to be aware of all the distinctions, but just you alone empowering yourself and knowing this information and then setting up the ones around you to succeed by speaking your needs in a loving way can absolutely change your life. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share with you guys the Facebook group. And this is a Facebook group we created as support to this work. It's called Together We Rise Up, Understanding Men and Understanding Women. You're welcome to join. Anybody that you feel needs this information, add them. And basically all we do is we sometimes ask you interview questions. If you want to share with us some of our research that we're doing, then we plug all the webinars there. We show all the replays from previous webinars. And then we also give you a forum where you can feel safe asking questions about the opposite sex or about how you are wired. Maybe you have conflict and you're achieving something. And just being able to understand each other is a huge, huge milestone. Also to receive a future webinar information, Dave is working on a Soulful Warrior Retreat. I am so excited. It's going to be in October. He's only going to have room for 50 men. So either daveuloa.com or YvetteUloa.com, we will both release the information. We're doing it in partnership with Dream Trips. And we will have at least 6 more webinars, I think. Five more webinars. With this one, it'll be 6 of this Understanding Women, and also Dave is doing the Understand Men portion. And then finally, if you want to buy the book, The Queen's Code, or if you're a gentleman and you understand the phases of development, where you're at in your life and how to get the best support, that's basically what had happened with Dave and I. 2 years ago, he had reached a new state and he wasn't getting the support from me that he needed at this stage, because the support he got earlier was completely different. And based on their wiring, they need different support at different stages of their life. So there's a great book Allison wrote called Keys to the Kingdom. And oh my God, understanding how to support the men in your life at each stage is life-changing. So Together We Rise Up is our affiliate to Allison's work, and all affiliate funds go to buy more books, more seminars, more things to give us gifts to family, friends, shelters. We're going to start sending this to prisons. Imagine if just people understood each other in a much better way. And so what I'm going to ask is I'm going to ask my beloved Mr. Dave Uloa to come and join me for a little question and answer so that we can answer any questions that you guys may have. I love doing this with him because it helps give the masculine and the feminine perspective. So if you guys can go ahead and type in any questions that you may have, either about this, preferably about this topic first, but also about any other topic related to men and women. This is the juicy part that a lot of people love, because we take the gloves off and we give it to you with authenticity, how it is. And so if you have any questions about the information today, how it applies to work, relationships, kids, let us know, because we would love it. And I have my amazing partner of 18 years. We've been together for 20 years now.
Oh, yeah, almost 20 years, married 18.
Yeah. So
also want to give a big shout out to those that were on the Facebook Live today for Yvette's webinar. Did she do an amazing job? Everybody give her a high five if she did an amazing job. I was taking notes over there, learning stuff myself. Every time we teach it, we learn it. It was fantastic. So, wow, you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Wow. So, on the other side over there.
That was the best acknowledgement as a hunter. I got respect from my husband. It's huge. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We got Mon says, love learning the difference between hunting and gathering modes. So powerful. There's no right or wrong. It just is. Great job, Yvette. Silvana says, good to see you, Silvana. Thank you. Much love. Got a question over here, looks like. Oops.
And you can type in the questions on the chat.
Deborah asks, what is the Facebook group again? Let me write that over to you. It's Together We Rise Up.
And then it has additional wording, but you can find it by Together We Rise Up.
Correct. I'll send it to you guys as well. And I saw quite a few people already registered for it from this webinar, which is awesome. Glad you guys are a part of it. Together We Rise Up. And it's a great resource. We put a lot of great stuff on there. All of these trainings will be available on there so you can see them and review them and all that fun stuff. So Together We Rise Up. All right, Nadine. Nadine says, transparency here, LOL. How is it that I can practice these communication skills so well with almost everyone except my husband? Comes easy, this communication strategy with others, but hardest with my own husband. LOL. Just being real. That is a honest and an amazing question, Nadine. So thank you very much, first of all, for being very open and transparent. And I'll start it off and let Yvette share. You know, it's so funny when we look at the relationships in our lives, and when we think of the person that gives us the most joy, that knows us the most intimately, that also has the ability to hurt us the deepest. It's usually our intimate partner, our best friend, our husband, our wife, our life partner. And it is the hardest, if you will, and yet the most rewarding when you can get to that level. There's a difference between relationship and partnership. And learning this from Alison Armstrong, people think that marriage is a relationship that you're always supposed to do what the other person says, or always try to make the other person happy and do all these different things. And the reality of it is what we look for, and what really stands the test of time is partnership. So everybody that's at home on this video, put your hands like this. If everybody can put your hands like this. And as you have your hands like this, I want you to push it harder with the right than the left. And then push it harder with the left than the right. And in partnership, the best partnership, and when I talk about partnership, this is a marriage, this is a business partnership, this is a friendship, but let's talk about specifically a marriage in partnership. If you're pushing harder with your left, that means you're overbearing the other person. You're probably stepping on their toes. You're probably not allowing them to hold their space, to be who they are. But if you're not resisting, and you're allowing that person to do that, then you too are playing a role, and you're being passive, and eventually that leads to passive resistance or passive aggressive, if you will, and then too much of this, and then eventually it swings the other way. So what I want you to do now is I want you to give equal pressure with your right hand and your left hand, and keep it balanced in the middle. Equal pressure. So if it starts to move a little bit to the left, give a little bit more to the right, and starts to balance it out. And in the balance of that is where partnership is found. See, partnership is not just about being nice all the time and making things. There's going to be challenge. But partnership is about giving enough resistance in order to evolve, giving enough resistance or giving enough leeway in order to grow and work together and have true partnership. So the reason I say that, Nadine, is because this is, first of all, congratulations for the awareness that you have of it's hard, it's easier to communicate with this kind of language with other people, but with my husband, it's more difficult. And this is where partnership and having agreements and talking about this and identifying why is it difficult for you to communicate with him? Why, and having that conversation with him. Like Yvette and I love to have conversations. We call it under the canopy of love and light. That no matter what we say under the canopy of love and light, that there's not going to be any judgment. There's not going to be any resistance. There's not going to be any feeling bad or guilty or ashamed. We're going to share something under the canopy of light so that we can build depth. So I'd encourage you, Nadine, with your husband to have a conversation under the canopy of light and identify why is it difficult for you or for him or for you guys together to communicate in this way if you know it really can transform your life, and see what shows up.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Nadine, it is so insane because I don't know if you read the book Queen's Code, but after I read, because I had something similar, I had this thing where like I couldn't talk to Dave. Like I knew the right thing to, I knew how to, and I wasn't doing it. I was more reactive with him, and I really had to use the highest and best level of my human spirit and bite myself sometimes when I wanted to react. This was like the most priceless move. Like Don't let me talk. Because I knew sometimes when I spoke, I would hurt his feelings. And oh my God, reading the Queen's Code, Allison talks about this term, and she talks about frog farming. And you may have read the book or not yet. And she basically says that we find amazing men, and sometimes because as women, we were raised to be powerful, strong, compete, do all these amazing things in the workplace. And a lot of times culturally, it's been passed down that in order to do that, we need to not step on other people, but sometimes subconsciously we diminish people along the way, either other women or the men in our life. And so I didn't realize that I was diminishing Dave. And so she says frog farming is the art of taking a perfectly great man and turning him into a frog. And the way you do that is by emasculating him. Emasculating means diminishing him. And so she says rolling your eyes, criticizing them, correcting them, doing things that just diminish their livelihood can really, really disconnect a couple and them feeling diminished. And instead, she says, with this language, and in the book Queen's Code, you will learn the hero's language and the 5 magic words that will change your life. And a decision that you have to make when you read the book before she gives you the 5 words, a commitment to this sacred work. And
just a question, Nadine, as Yvette's sharing, would you mind sharing? Have you read the Queen's Code yet? Allison's book, The Queen's Code. If you can type it in there, yes or no.
Thank you. And so, she says if you're able to apply the hero's language, men will drop at your feet trying to make you happy and doing everything. And so it could be that maybe you know this and maybe you're just not saying the key words that will absolutely change and rock his world. And so what happened after I read the Queen's Code is that I started using the 5 words with Dave, and it's not manipulation. It's not like trying to get someone to do something for you. And all of a sudden I started getting different conversation from him and different response from him and a different attitude. And so I promised not to ever again in my life diminish his ability to produce results.
If I could just share, this is how powerful you women are. Okay, this is how powerful you are. We as men, we live to provide, to protect our tribe, our girl, our wife, our family, our kids. That's what we live for. And believe it or not, we respond to you. We respond to you because we want to protect and provide. We are responding, and the challenge is, and once again, it's everything has its balance. The women's movement of equality, which had some great parts to it of bringing women into the workforce and all these different things. But the other side of that now is that women and men lost the polarity that they used to have, where we respond to you, but when we're both in that masculine hunter mode, there's no polarity, so there's no passion. And so Allison started her whole work by asking this question: what if nobody is misbehaving? What if as a man, I'm not misbehaving? Because sometimes women think that men are hairy women that should know better. And so we come from that place. And so if she starts to come from a place of what if he's not misbehaving? What if there is a reason and a purpose? And by design, that's how he's, and the same thing for men. What if women are not misbehaving? When Yvette and I used to go shopping, and I would go to the mall, and I knew I needed to get something at the Apple store. So I'm laser focused as a hunter going to the Apple store, and she's in gathering mode because when she's at the mall, she sees a shiny object and she's going in that direction. She doesn't need anything. She just wants to see and feel everything. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, stop, we're going over here. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking she's misbehaving, not understanding that she's in gathering mode, which a part of me loves because it's radiation, it's spontaneity, it's creativity, and so now, but I'm trying to change her to being in hunter mode as opposed to saying, what if she's not misbehaving and how can I honor her for who she is at her core? So the Queen's Code, if you haven't read it, Nadine, I'm telling you, it is a book that is a must read. If relationships is at all, partnerships is at all important to you, that is a must read, because we can share this stuff with you here, which is great because you can apply this stuff right away in your relationship. But when you learn the Queen's Code and you learn the hero's language, that's the kind of language to create an unbelievable relationship with your partner.
Thank you, Nadine, for sharing so openly. And that's what we're here to help each other out. Because like me, I'm reading your statement. Me, like you, I was in hunting mode 99% of the time. And so what was happening is I was coming home and he didn't want to see a hunter at home. He wanted to see the girl he married. And I didn't know how to be that. And so I needed to transition into Yvette. It was great that I made sales. I was out building teams and now speaking the Queen's Code language with him and empowering him to be the best king that he can be for me, it created a whole new dimension of our relationship. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing, Nadine. And Carol said she's read both the Queen's Code and the Keys to the Kingdom. You go, Carol. Nadine said yes, she started reading it and she will finish it and be intentional now with it. And Barbara Miller says it is on her read list. Awesome,
Wonderful.
guys.
And then Carol had a question. How can I get my husband interested in these books? I bought them a long time ago and read them. He said he would, but hasn't.
You tell him Dave Ulloa said it's a must. No, we love you guys, Carol. I would share with him just some of the things that you've learned there, especially like the Queen's Code obviously is a great book for both men and women to read. The Keys to the Kingdom for me was just a huge. It opened up a whole new world for me because it helped me to understand myself a little bit better. So my suggestion to you is just let him know that relationships is important to you, and you know it's important to him. And for his next book that he plans on reading, that one of these two would be, you would appreciate it being on his list. And what that would provide for you would be an amazing lifestyle and how safe you would feel knowing that he deems you and your relationship with him at a very high level and value it a lot. And that's what it would provide for you. So I would talk in those terms. And Carol, by the way, you have read both books, so you understand at least the language. So this would be a great time to practice that.
Yeah, and remember, men are wired to be providers. So letting him know what it's going to provide for you is going to be very important, because you need to help him know that it's going to be worth it and what kind of result it's going to create.
Yeah, this is for Pete. You go.
This is amazing. Oh, this is Pete, and for this I thank you.
This is Pete, guys.
Hi, Pete.
What's
Love
up,
you
Pete?
guys.
Good to see you, buddy.
This is so great. And here's another idea, Carol. If you go to togetherweriseup.com, which is Allison's website, there is an audio there where it's called The Dance of Partnership. It is one of the most hilarious, amazing, joyful, fun programs. And you can play this while you're taking a road trip. And it's so funny. So sometimes a man may not want to pick up a book and read, but there's also an Understanding Women audio. And it's so amazing because she talks about the hunter and gatherers, but in more detail. You're cracking up, you understand, like, oh, so you're not, okay, I'm not, oh. And you just make so many realizations. So that could be something fun on a road trip that you guys play while you drive.
That's right. And Kim Ballone says she started reading it. It was so powerful, then got distracted. Started to read it again the other day. Then you, Yvette, thank you. I think she says, for you, Yvette, for suggesting it almost a year ago. I highly recommend it and can't wait to finish it. It is time. So happy to have include me in this group. Thank you. You're welcome, Kim. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kim. And are we having a gathering moment that we get distracted with something else? Right? That happens to me. One time Dave was gone for 3 weeks on the road and I was reading 5 different books at once. My gatherer was just in heaven. I was like, tonight I feel like reading this one, tomorrow that one. I was just in heaven. So it's okay. Allow yourself compassion. You're having a gathering moment and you just learn, use human spirit, hunt, reading the book until the end, because it's going to change your life.
Encouragement. All right. We probably should close it out.
Well, we want to thank you guys so much. This ends topic 3. Topic 4 is coming in about 3 to 4 weeks. Get on the Facebook group. We're going to basically